Hi everyone and welcome to the channel. Today's subject is all about advanced motorcycle rider training here in the UK and what you have to do if you want to become an advanced rider trainer yourself. I'm going to talk in particular about a company known as IAM Roadsmart, and if you're new to this channel, then welcome. But don't forget to like and subscribe and take a look at my other videos, as often they're interlinked and are focused on rider training. So let's get to it. You've already passed your IAM Roadsmart Advanced Rider test and are a member of a group, and you're now designed to become a trainer, or as IAM Roadsmart boasts, an observer. To see how that happens, I will use my own experience to deliver this process that was laid down by this training body for me during the COVID period. Just remember, the internal courses as this are not identified by the DVSA due to their trainers being volunteers who were themselves trained and assessed internally by internal examiners. Once you apply to group leader, they will then gather their internal committee members and discuss as to whether you're suitable as a person to become part of the IAM Roadsmart hierarchical structure or not. Once the committee agree, the group leader will apply to IAM Roadsmart to put you onto the local observer training list. Most groups normally conduct at least one internal course per year to keep up with those observers who become despondent like myself and leave. IAM Roadsmart then registers you with the IMI, more about that in another video, and your group will inform you of the course dates. My course spanned over about 20 hours, spread between theory and practical. You will also receive another copy of the associate logbook, this time with hidden content known as hints and tips, and this allows you to potentially have more knowledge than that of a regular associate. You will also receive a copy of the LOPS, which is the Local Observer Progress Summary. This is the checklist for training practice points which need to be ticked as the course progresses. The associate logbook was read aloud to us by the group leader, John, over 4 periods of 2.5 hours each. And it took me back to my primary school days. The only thing that was missing, I thought, was a nice little nap in between. On occasion I would interject with a concern or a question, or even a pointing of the finger where spelling mistakes and grammatical errors were made, not to mention poor picture illustrations. I had endless questions in regards to the LOPS which were never answered properly. This wasn't appreciated and I was labelled disruptful by the group leader. With the 10 hours of my life now ticked off with this theory study, I couldn't help but feel how bored I had become, how disappointed in the learning that there were so many obvious errors within the LOPS and the associate logbook, but no one in this group was interested. I later asked for a meeting with the group leader and his secretary, Scott Galloway, to discuss my concerns about the above, and that I also intended to write to the publication's author, Richard Gladman. The two of them chortled together and said, "Good luck with that one." As they had previously tried with no joy. So, classroom lecturing complete, it was time to go outside and play with our motorcycles in public places. We were now joined by the club secretary for the purpose of working in pairs under observation, as he and John were both national observers. The first part was John spending what seemed to be an inordinate amount of time talking about slow speed manoeuvring, and yet no practical skills were practiced apart from one person riding at walking pace. The area he chose, I thought, was congested with parked and passing cars, as this car park was being used as an overspill from the local McDonald's due to COVID. The weather was hot and I was criticised for taking advantage of my own liquid refreshment, which I brought as part of my own preparation and planning, whilst listening to this confused presentation. Suddenly, as if an afterthought, we were given the green for go, and a subject such as roundabouts and dual carriageways, and we split into 2 groups assigned to each national observer, John and Scott. and Scott then instructed us to begin our presentations of that particular coaching session. Utter chaos prevailed, and as I looked around and saw the other 3 trainee observers flapping their gums and not quite sure what to do, I simply pulled out my lesson plan and began the process. The instructions from Scott were that both of us would follow him. He was to be the trainee associate, and after a mere 1 kilometre we would turn around, change over and return back to the start point. We were then instructed to debrief, so once again I referred to my notes, and why not? The training period ended and we all went our separate ways. I was lost for words. This process on the next meeting then repeated with rural riding and bends. At least this time we had more mileage. I volunteered to go first and I pulled out my trusty notebook. I then delivered what I thought to be a comprehensive revision from the previous periods, an intro and focused coaching session leading up to and including heading off in the right direction. And after around 15 minutes of observed riding at the appointed stop point, where I conducted a debrief once again from my notes. At this point I handed over to the second trainee observer, who I assumed would start from the beginning to understand and practice the practice, to prove he also had the whole drill sorted. He simply stepped forward and said all that intro stuff as he pointed at me, what he said. He suggested a route and off we went. No need to do any preparation, just make it up, I thought, as you go along. I was sure that the other guy would fail. After our final stop point, the other guy gave his Mystic Meg debrief, and at that point it was declared that the course was complete and well done. Oh my God, I had to fight myself to keep my mouth shut. This was by far the most unprofessional, poorly strung together, badly organised of teaching practice courses I had ever witnessed, and in my career history I've witnessed and experienced more training practices than anyone would ever care for. Thankfully though, due to the LOPs, there were some outstanding boxes needed to be ticked, and I had the opportunity to train a live trainee associate for at least 2 sessions, who went on to pass with a first. A certificate for me arrived in the post, so why did I feel disappointed? I couldn't accept that this was any standard at all. In fact, whilst undertaking training for the advanced test, riders are only given help in some areas as long as their own riding is at a level 2, which is satisfactory. I now accepted that my first pass and that of others which I have trained to that standard are simply not worth the certificate which the ink is printed upon. In conclusion, I have found the local observer course to be nothing more than a deceitful tick in the box exercise to gain a recognition from the IMI, so that the IAM can claim there is a standard being achieved. In my opinion, the standards are lacking due to the nature of this continually internally hidden training mechanism, which the IAM has gotten away with for decades. No wonder the DVSA do not recognise these courses. I think the IMI would be shocked to learn what I had witnessed. And after the course, I offered my suggestions of improvements to the group leader, which I do not believe were received in the manner in which I intended. I also wrote a 6,000 word analysis of the associate logbook and emailed that to the book's author, Richard Gladman. Please see that in a separate video. But it appears to me that IAM Roadsmart have a level of arrogance which at times prevents them from being better at what they do. I now realise what an idiot I was to offer my time and dedication to a hierarchical structure where the money goes up the chain of command, never to be seen again. I, of course, have since walked away from this training body, and yet I continue to train local riders to a safer standard, a higher standard than the IAM, for free, as I have done for all of my 4 decades of my riding career. If you want to help others, then just do it. After all, wasn't it once said, be the one who helps others, not the one who is seen to be helping? Which one are you? And whilst you think about that, please remember, always think safe, ride safe, and I hope to see you soon. And don't forget, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to share my videos, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.